scientific law that nothing can be created or destroyed.
Put it into its form.
It's just changing forms. Nothing's actually created or destroyed. Meaning, every piece of wood came from a tree, which came from another tree, which came from another tree, which all trace itself back to the original creation. So every single thing is that way. Nothing is ever created. You know, if I take something, I have to start with materials. I can't make something out of thin air. So even Hashem doesn't do that. Hashem doesn't make things out of thin air. Hashem made one creation and that was it. Everything just changes forms.
So it's like a manufacturing bill of materials, that this goes into this, goes into this.
Well, even within creation, the wording the Torah used in the beginning was bara, which is bria, which means to create. And after it is yitzira, which is forming and fashioning, but it's not creating. There's only one creating. Then it says it again when it comes to man, because Hashem created the neshama. So that was a new creation. But as far as everything in the physical world, there was one moment of creation, and that's it. Everything else was just forming, fashioning, shaping until it is where it is, and then it'll change forms. You know, every piece of wood eventually decomposes and turns into dust, which turns into something. But there's another piece of wood already because another tree was planted from that first tree. So it's just, everything cycles. Nothing is new, right? Every piece of metal came from the ore, which was somewhere, and eventually will end up back there. You know, so it's all cycles. It's not, there's nothing new.
But what Herbie was pointing out is that there's a joining of all those angels, or mazalos, whatever you call them, because you decided randomly to make a table.
Yeah.
So you changed.
Absolutely.
Maneuvered.
Absolutely. Free will is a very, very powerful thing. And the things that we do, he's going to talk about that, how the things that we do affect them. Yeah, absolutely.
That's what Herbie was
Yeah, we're gonna get there. Maybe not this week, but we're gonna get there.
Okay, do it.
Yeah. Herbie, were you reading ahead? Okay. Were you reading ahead?
Every once in a while I have a thought.
Yeah.
Every few months, I think.
Well, we're glad we had you here today.
Cup of coffee.
Ah, that's what does it. All right, good. See, it's all about the caffeine. Okay. All right, are we comfortable with this? Yeah, kind of. Wow. There was confidence.
Is comfort the right word?
Is comfort? It should be the right word. Yeah, it should be. All right. Should we take this one step further? Yeah, let's take it one step further here. We got to be ready though. This part's got to be solid. We go to the next step. All right, here goes the next step. Oid Messias B'Yadena. We have another tradition, and that is Sha'al Kol Atzem V'Chol Mikra Shebenimtzama Shalom Ha'ela. That for everything that happens and everything that exists here in the physical world, Hufkedu Pekidim, there are things which are appointed, officers that are appointed, Min Hasug HaMalachi, from the category of Malachim, Shezacharnu L'Mala, that we mentioned earlier. Umasam, and their job is L'Kayim Ha'etzemahu, to uphold, to sustain this being, Oy HaMikrahu, or this happening, but in the physical world, if he mashahu, based on whatever it is, U'Lechadesh Mashu'Oyle is Chadesh, and to make new whatever needs to be made new, B'Shvalim in the physical thing, it's Kefi Exer Halyana, based on Hashem's decree. So, we're now adding to the Kaichais, which was the first category, the forces, we're now adding a second layer, and that is the layer of the Malachim. The Malachim are tasked with sustaining the things that the Kaichais bring into being. So the Kaichais make all the physical things, and then the Malachim sustain them and bring about whatever needs to be brought about for them to do whatever they need to do. So there are two levels here for everything physical in the world. So I will just read to you in the bottom over here. Thus, while the physical beings and their occurrences evolve from the Kaichais, those being and their occurrences are sustained by the Malachim. And it's referring to these Malachim that the Medrash says, there is no blade of grass that doesn't have a mazel, striking it and saying grow. Okay? So there are two elements here that I kind of put together before to keep it simple. Now we need to separate them now that we're on the next page. There are two parts. There is the actual manifestation of the thing itself, And then there's the keeping it going and moving and doing whatever it needs to be doing. Those are actually two different things. So the kaiches are different than malachim in the sense that the kaiches don't have any thought. There is no independence to them. They don't experience things. They simply are powers. They're powers that make things happen, like gravity. Gravity doesn't think. Gravity doesn't have any independence to it. It's a power. So the same is true of these kaiches. They are powers that make these physical things exist. But then the malachim, which have independence, they have self-awareness, they have knowledge, they have maybe potentially a degree of choice, but let's not talk about that yet. We'll talk about that much later on. But there's a malach is more of a sentient being, and therefore it is able to do things that need to be done, not simply exist. So the kaiches make things exist, and the malachim make them do. Okay? So that's the makeup of the world.
So would that be likened to sort of an external nefesh and neshama?
What do you mean?
So the nefesh would be the kochos, and the malachim would be like
No.
a
The
spiritual force?
existence of the kaiches. The existence of something in the physical world is because there is a kayach, a spiritual source, that exists, and therefore it has a physical counterpart down the chain. That the nefesh is a product of that, as we've said. The life force of everything is a product of that physical existence. But the malach is what makes it do what it needs to do and make things happen and grow and function.
So the difference between a nefesh and not a nefesh, a kochos, external kochos, and is physical.
The
Or
difference
is it
between what and what? I
spiritual?
only heard one thing. The difference between what and what?
So you're talking about kochos and malachim
Yes.
in this instance, and the kochos are physical or spiritual?
The kochos are spiritual. The manifestations of them are the physical
Yeah, okay.
existence.
Okay, that's what I didn't get. Okay.
And nefesh, you're saying, is not considered spiritual.
Correct.
It's just
That's
the life
the difference.
force
One, yeah.
that is physical.
Yep.
Nefesh is physical, kochos are spiritual.
So what's the English
Yeah.
translation of nefesh and English translation of malach?
Nefesh, the best translation that I'm aware of would be a life force,
Okay.
and a malach is going to be very loosely translated as an angel. But I don't like that because that kind of gives us a certain picture which is inaccurate. Hmm? Yeah. Yeah, long before Hollywood. I mean, people have been drawing pictures since Nach. Since the Merkava was written, you know. So
The white wings.
Right wings, yeah.
exactly, halos and fluffy wings
Very fluffy.
and white robes. They did.
And they're on the
And they had bodies of babies, children,
and faces.
and that's where cherubs get their picture from. Yeah. All right, we'll stop here. It's been a pleasure, and we'll see everybody
Very interesting.
very soon, hopefully. Got Purim coming up.
Yes.
Are we here next Sunday?
We should be here next Sunday. Tomorrow's a fast day. Yeah, make sure you drink extra coffee today.
Yes.
When's the first day?
I'm traveling. I'm out of town for almost a week. But if you send me that message again, I'll try